Hi, this is Steve Rutledge, your English teacher, and I have one apparently very large eye on you. And this video is to answer the question, what is a sentence? First, let's talk about why you should care about the question. Well, roughly speaking, ancient Greek simply strung all its letters there like you see here without giving any indication of where the words or ideas started and where they stopped. And maybe that's why they came up with the expression, it's all Greek to me, to describe something that's pretty confusing. And we wouldn't be very much better off today, would we, if we didn't have periods to indicate where the beginnings and ends of complete thoughts come. This would be pretty confusing to try to read, wouldn't it? But fortunately, we know what a sentence is, so we created a period to show where the sentences start and where they stop, and I added a little bit of spacing and some other punctuation here, and it's much easier to read. And that's why you should care about the question, what is a sentence? Because once you know what a sentence is, then you know where to put the punctuation mark, the period or semicolons, etc., and you make your writing much easier for your reader to understand. By the way, thank this guy, Aristophanes. He invented the first idea of something that was like a period. He called it the periodos, and it indicated where the reader should stop and take a long breath. How would you like to have this guy for your English teacher? That would be a tough A. So back to the question, what is a sentence? Basically, if you have a period and some words and then another period, everything that's between those periods should be what we call a sentence. These words equal a sentence if they have a subject, that is somebody or something, and a verb. That is, this somebody or something should be doing or being something. And bring it all together. A sentence is a group of words that has a subject, a verb, that altogether equals a complete thought. Let's give you an example. This group of words doesn't have to be long. It could be as simple as saying, Steve makes a movie, right? The subject would be Steve. I'm the one doing the action. The subject's always the one doing or being the action. Well, the verb, or the action in this case, is make. Steve makes a movie. Altogether, these words make a complete thought. If I said to you, Steve makes a movie, you would know what I'm trying to say, and that's why I can put a period at the end. The period says, boom, that's a complete thought. I'm done. I'm ready to move on to the next complete thought. Notice something like this would not be a sentence. Making a movie. Well, that's not a complete thought. We really don't have a subject anymore, do we? Who's making a movie? And actually, technically speaking, we don't even have a verb. Making is not a verb. You can't making. That group of words is not a sentence. You could even have smaller groups of words be sentences. Steve yawns is a sentence, isn't it? It's got a subject, Steve. It's got a verb. Not all sentences, though, have action verbs like yawns. Sometimes the sentence is built around a state of being, something, someone, or something is. For example, I could say, Steve is tired. That's not an action, that's a state of being, but that's also a sentence and a complete thought, and the verb in this case would be the linking verb is. Steve is tired. And on a Friday like today, that sentence would be true. Let's look at how the sentences and periods and punctuation work in a paragraph like this one here. The writer writes, the NFL is too violent. Stop. Period. Let's see if that's a sentence. The NFL, there's our subject. Is, there's our linking verb. And then we have too violent. The NFL is too violent. Yeah, that's a complete thought. I can put a period at the end there. I mean, if Brett Favre could say he would be leery of a son playing football, shouldn't we all take notice? Notice the writer chose to put a comma here. Why did they put a comma here and not a period? Well, that's because the thought wasn't done. You wouldn't put a period until the thought's actually done. The punctuation mark, a comma, says to the reader, pause a sec, but I'm not done yet. The paragraph continues, I remember playing football in the park and having my bell rung, as they say, after having my head and brain smashed against the ground. That's definitely complete thought, and that's why we have the period. Subject, verb, complete thought, boom, put a period. I want to take a little closer look at that last sentence. Hey, what if I just took this part? After having my head and brain smashed against the ground. This might masquerade as a sentence, but it's not. It does have a subject. Well, actually, it has a compound subject, head and brain, and we have a verb, smashed, but why would this still not be a sentence? After having my head and brain smashed against the ground, Is the thought done yet? No, we're still waiting around to find out. Well, what about after having your head and brain smashed against the ground? We're not done, so we would put, if anything, we'd put a comma here to indicate pause a sec, and then I'm going to finish the thought. I can see why people are leery of the NFL, or something like that. See, now you finish the thought off, and that's why you have a period there. All I could see was fuzz, like the fuzz of a TV that has no reception. Again, nice comma here because that's not the end of the thought. The writer actually tacks on this final little thought here that is not a sentence. All I could see was fuzz, like the fuzz on a TV that has no reception. Let's take those sentences up and look at them here. All I could see was fuzz, like the fuzz of a TV that has no reception. I can only imagine what it does to the brain to get hit like that over and over. Boy, do you see what happens when we take that period out? It makes it much more confusing for the reader, doesn't it? You need to have that period to give your reader a chance to catch their mental breath, right? You need to tell them, hey, I've just finished the first thought, and now I'm going to begin a second thought. Hey, here's one final thing you can use. You could put a semicolon between these two sentences because the sentences are closely related. Now, why is it I can put a semicolon when I just told you can't put a comma between sentences? Well, look closely at the semicolon. What is a semicolon made up of? It doesn't just have a comma, it has a period and a comma. And I suppose it was written that way because it is halfway between a period and a comma. It tells the reader, hey reader, these are sentences, so I have a period, one thought followed by another thought. But I want you to sort of flow these thoughts through as if it were a comma. So the semicolon communicates to the reader, I do have sentences, hence the period, but I want you to flow them together, hence the comma. Just putting a comma there would misinform the reader because it wouldn't tell them, hey, that first part's a sentence. And maybe in this case, a period there wouldn't be so hot either because really these sentences are so closely related, it's nice to flow them together with a semicolon. Let's summarize. You take a period, you put words between two periods. Everything that's between those periods should add up to a complete thought. To make a group of words a complete thought, almost always you have to have a subject, somebody or something, a verb, and then all together it should make a complete thought. My students always tell me I look like Steve, the old host of the show Blue's Clues, so we'll finish this up Blue's Clues style. Is this group of words a sentence? The answer is yes. It has several subjects actually, and several verbs, and together it makes a complete thought. The reason why you can join them together like this is because you don't just have a comma, you have a comma plus the conjunction so. But that's the topic for another video. So I hope we've answered the question, what is a sentence, and that this makes sense to you, and that you can apply this knowledge to your own writing. Incidentally, I don't see the resemblance. See you in class.